recording. Score, we're recording. Yay. So, hey guys, welcome to our team call. We have Amy Bear here. So Amy's an Emerald coach. She was talking before a little bit about her kids. So she has 3 boys, all under 5. And she's going to be sharing why she became a coach with Beachbody and basically how to ensure that her business stays at Success Club 10. So I'm going to keep it short and sweet. Amy, take the floor, take it away. Give us all your multicolored notes.
Okay. Well, thank you. So I kind of freaked out when I saw Gabby's title for this call because it indicates that I am a successful Team Beachbody coach. And I'm going to try to own that. And at the same time, I want to say I'm a work in progress just like everybody else is, and I'm brand new to this. So whatever I have to share, hopefully just feels like fresh information. It's probably not going to tell you anything you haven't heard before, but maybe you can hear it with some passion and hear it anew a little bit. We had a call earlier this week. Sorry about that. Let me turn that off. We had a call earlier this week where we had a chance to talk about, I think we were talking about professional development. And I basically made the point that, sometimes it depends on when you're reading something in your life. Like you come to the PD with whatever issues you have on that particular day, and you might read something in the text that 3 weeks before you hadn't, and 3 weeks ahead you wouldn't even notice. It's like it's where you are when you meet that information that I think can really cause a chain reaction of positive things to happen. So I'm a work in progress, but I'm gonna go ahead and claim the fact that I've done really well my first couple of months, and I'm gonna try to unpack why I think that is for you all. So just a little bit about my story so that you can know that, because I think my story probably has a lot to do with how I engaged the Beachbody coaching opportunity the way that I did. And I think it'll help you understand why I did things in the order that I did them, which hopefully will help you feel a call to action to do something like that if it will help your business. So I've had a lifelong struggle with my weight. I was always the little round blonde girl. My family's all tall and thin and brunette and brown-eyed. And so I was always kind of the odd one out. Anyway, I always struggled with my weight and my self-esteem. I've had periods of depression in my adult life. I'm 40 years old now. I've probably had, I'm going to say 3 different segments of mild to moderate depression that I've encountered. And each time I would raise up over 200 pounds. I'm only 5'4". So 200 pounds is an awful lot for me. And that's happened to me more than 2 or 3 times. I've tried every diet that there is, Weight Watchers, keto, calorie counting. I can remember getting my points on Weight Watchers and thinking, okay, I got 24 points. How many ice cream sandwiches can I eat with my 24 points? And so everything that I've ever tried just never really worked. I've just never been good at making good, healthy choices if given the opportunity. I'm really good at picking apart a system and making it work for me so that I can really just do what I want. And so none of those diets ever really worked for me. So one thing I want to say is on that level, I can relate to almost all of my customers or people that are interested in what it is that I'm doing, because I've been down all these roads and largely disappointed down most of them and in the end, and disappointed in myself, not just those systems. So now I'm a stay-at-home mom, and I have been since we moved to Texas 4 years ago. And so this is technically, I think, my third stay-at-home mom is like my third career. I was a graphic designer for a few years out of college, and I still do that as a freelance designer. I was also a chaplain and a minister working in hunger programs in South Florida, which is where I met Claudia Rosado, my coach. So after my twins were born almost 6 years ago, I bought Insanity off of Amazon. So here's where you all look at me and say, oh, she's that girl that bought Insanity off of Amazon. And, I engaged that program and it worked, but it didn't stick. And there was never a nutrition component to go with it. There was never anything else, right? It was just Shanti and a booklet and some DVDs and my willpower to actually get it done. I would see those Shakeology ads after the workouts and be like, whatever, that is such a scam. I'm not doing that. I'd see the coach plugs like, oh, you can have a free coach. And I'd be like, yeah, right. Like, that's free. I don't believe that. And so like, I basically am a walking objection to everything that we do at Beachbody up until 2 or 3 months ago, till 10 weeks ago. And so I didn't trust it. I had all the objections that we hear. I don't have the money. It's a scam. It won't work. Oh, I can do it on my own. I even researched it was within the last year, researched on Pinterest. You can find a 21-day fix hack where they'll tell you how many, the green container is this many ounces, whatever. I tried it on my own and I was like, oh, this is great. And then it didn't really work. And I could tell you the reasons that it didn't work, but the main reason is that I wasn't really engaging it. I was trying to take the system and work it for myself and not really trusting it, but working it and trying to get something for nothing kind of thing. And I was really just selling myself short in the end. I just wasn't investing in what I didn't realize what I needed to invest in. But basically, I come to this whole thing. All this is to say, I've come to this whole thing as that girl that you probably encounter all the time who's like, I'm not going to do that. That's not going to work. I don't, that's not for me. I'm not a joiner, whatever. All those things that you sometimes hear. So then I came across my friend Claudia, who I hadn't seen in a few years, right? Because I moved away from Florida. And I just started watching her on Instagram and Facebook, mostly Instagram. And I just saw this transformation happening. And I thought, what's she doing? What's this about? And I waited and I watched and she probably was posting for a couple, 3 months before I ever reached out to her. But then I had that quote in my mind. If you want something you've never had before, you've got to try something you've never done before. And so I called Claudia, and it was like I'd already sold it to myself, really. Like I was already like, whatever she's doing, I want to do that. And I called Claudia, and she just put the icing on the cake. She was just like, here's what I'm doing. This is what it is. She didn't tell me anything. Didn't tell me anything I didn't already know. All she did was tell me her story and like with her heart in it. And it just like connected with me at that moment. I was just absolutely so desperate for a solution to the post baby weight and just feeling bad in general. And so my money objection absolutely flew out the window. My joiner objection flew out the window. My excuses, I don't have the time, I don't have the this, I don't have the that, they all flew out the window because I saw what was happening with Claudia and I wanted that. I wanted that for me. And then on top of that, like Gabby has told us before, I'm a sucker for a discount. So as soon as Claudia mentioned the coach opportunity, I was game. I was like, oh yeah, I'm getting that. And she, and I was like, cause I can cancel it. If it doesn't work, I can cancel it. I knew that there wasn't really a downside. And I kept thinking, what's the downside? I haven't been able to figure out what the downside is. And there really isn't one other than just a willingness to try something you maybe have never tried before. That's the downside, is that that's hard. So I went about the business of intending to succeed. I got my challenge pack, and I absolutely made the commitment to intend to succeed. I woke up every single day and I said, I will succeed at this. And I never had a weak thought. I was sore. I wasn't happy at times, but I never had the thought that this isn't going to work. I was like, I'm not, until 21 days is up, I'm not even going to entertain those ideas. They are out the window until at some point I have no choice but to face them, because this is going to work. And it was that whole thing about intention, right? And so I just kind of, have you ever heard that quote, be the change you wish to see in the world? Well, I decided to just be the change that I wanted to see in my life. And so I had a really successful first 21 days. And then a really successful second 21 days. And now I'm about to finish my third round, continuing to have success. And it's not magic, it's hard work. But without that intention to succeed, I knew that excuses would creep in, that, I just knew, because I've been down that road before. But that's not happened to me this time. I've not used those excuses. So I was inspired by Claudia, and then I intended to succeed. Now, this is all just as a challenger, right? I haven't even gotten to the coach part yet. So I obviously, having this really positive experience, felt really passionate about, in this case, the 21-day fix program, the workouts, the Shakeology, the whole deal, and the challenge group, the 4-part thing, right? And that's what I tell anybody who wants to ask me about it. I say, the reason this has worked for me is because it's all 4 of those things. It's not, I'm going to try the shake, or I'm going to try the workouts, or I'm just going to eat better. No, for me, it was all 4 of those things. And if a possible challenger contacts me, I always say, I'm my worst critic. And I think that's the reason why the challenge group was really helpful for me. It just helped me to be kind to myself, because I was watching all these other people who were posting these, sweaty workout pics, sweaty post-workout pics, and their little Shakeologies. And it was like I was being invited into these intimate moments with people who I will never meet in person, or probably won't. But we were all going down the same path, and there was just grace in that. It was just grace. And I just felt like I could be kind to myself in that process. And that was pivotal to success for me. And another reason why, when the time came for me to kind of switch gears and add my action as a coach to the picture, the passion for that was already there. The intention was already there. The being able to relate to that girl out there that is just like me was already there. So I think the thing that really turned the tables for me in my first month, when I was able to, I had a great first month. And I'm having a great second month so far. But I really think the reason I had that great first month is because I took advantage of Gabby's phase 1 and phase 2 trainings. Now, I don't know if everybody in the group has done that. She made it sound like that was a new thing to do the Facebook group. There was an August coach training, which I believe was phase 1. And then you kind of graduated from that into the phase 2 training. So I was obviously passionate. Things were working for me. But the language of Beachbody was one that I didn't know, and I needed to know. It was new to me. And luckily I was very determined and self-motivated to go and learn it so that I could speak it. So I jumped in with both feet into those 2 trainings, and finished them really quickly. Like, I did not dawdle. Maybe on the first one I did a little bit, but the phase 2, like, I may have finished the phase 2 training in like 2 or 3 days. It was really quick. I just really focused in on it. And it gave me focus. It gave me confidence about all of my social media posts, which I was not confident about doing that. And then I watched the different videos and the different posts that Gabby put in there. It gave me confidence about posting. It gave me confidence about my communication with people who I wanted to invite. It gave me confidence in dealing with objections. Obviously for the objections that I understood personally, I knew how to respond to those, but there are lots of others. That was really helpful. And I think even more important than all of that is the trainings helped me to understand what questions to ask. Now, as an aside, so have you ever been in a situation where you're a health situation is what comes to my mind. Like my baby was sick when he was 2 weeks old. He had to have a surgery, and he ended up in the hospital for a month, his whole second month of life, Joshua, because he got a septic staph infection in his kidneys and his bladder because of a surgery that he had when he was only 2 weeks old. Really, really scary stuff. He could have died. And I remember when we were there in the PICU, and the doctors all looked very concerned, which is not comforting, right? When the professionals look scared. And I was just terrified for lots of reasons, but the main reason was I wanted to be able to advocate for my son. And I really didn't know the questions to ask. I didn't know to say, what does septic mean? Or, what does this mean on this ultrasound? What do you mean he has to have a spinal tap? What's that for? I didn't know the questions to ask. And so I just felt helpless. Like, what questions do I ask? And largely I was helpless, right? I had to rely on professionals to walk me through the process a little bit at a time and just educate me. And that's what I think the training really did for me, is it helped me to be confident that I could ask the questions that I needed. Like, I just knew the questions to ask. And so when I didn't understand something, I could ask. And it wasn't, I feel like the training kept me from having to do so much trial and error and messing things up and then doing them right. I felt like the training set me up to do things right from the start. So I do put it out there for all of you that if you haven't done her 2 trainings, even if you've been a Beachbody coach for forever, go back and look at her training. I went back yesterday and looked at them again to remind myself. And I actually want to go back, and especially in the phase 2 training, because the phase 1 training is a little bit more like nuts and bolts, like how do you use coaching codes and create your website and making your list of contacts. But the second phase is really about strategy for how you communicate with people and what do you post about. And so I put it out there that it's really smart to go back and revisit that, even if you've been a coach for a really long time, because I know I will. It's one of those resources that I will go back and reference, especially if I get into a hard month or something. I will go back and revisit, because it's also inspirational. It'll help pump you up for whatever it is that is happening to you on your journey. So the training helped me to focus. And the other thing it helped me do was it helped me to realize it wasn't my job to be a puppet for Beachbody. It was my job to own my strengths, to focus on my story and what I have to share, that it's not about some generic message. It's about the real people experiencing these programs and then them telling their stories. That's what draws people in. Claudia's story is what drew me in. It wasn't an infomercial. It wasn't an ad for Shakeology after an insanity workout. It was Claudia's testimonial, her witness to what she was experiencing. So the trainings and Claudia's story and all that, it just helped me to focus on, like Gabby always says, we're not selling, we're sharing. And so the training really helped me to not worry about words like selling or pushing or hunting for people, right? It helped me to just realize that, that I didn't need to worry about that kind of stuff, because in fact, my customer or my typical challenger is me. I am my customer in so many ways. And so having the confidence of knowing, okay, well then I know that girl. I know what her instincts are. Her instincts are to mine the information and then go find out for myself. And then absolutely as a last resort, I'm actually going to talk to somebody about possibly wanting to do this, which is how it was with Claudia. So I know my customer because my customer looks like me and lives like me for the most part. My customer is, a lot of them are clergy families. And I don't know if you know any clergy families, but you want to talk about some of the most vulnerable people when it comes to health issues and obesity. Potlucks on Sundays are dangerous, okay? Eating Sunday supper with Miss Myrtle and her husband, I'm telling you, there's grace in it and there's fellowship in it. And it can also be really dangerous for the pastor and the pastor's spouse and their family if they're just constantly being sort of pushed upon, especially when it comes to dietary things and time management. The church, in our case, the church will never turn you down for your time, ever. You have to set your own boundaries. And that was true when my husband and I were in our corporate jobs too. So I know that it's not just the church, but my customer are clergy families. They're Midwesterners like me. They're urban, they're city people. They're mostly middle class or upper middle class. They're mostly educated. So I know them. And so communicating with them has not, of course, that's just my warm market. You guys always talk about your warm market. And I think to myself, wait a minute. So is there another market? Because I don't know what that is yet. You guys are going to have to help me whenever I find out what that is. So the awareness of who my customer is was something that I think the training really helped me to be confident that I already know who that is. My husband always says that he was glad we moved here from South Florida, and he says that he was glad that we moved to Texas, to Fort Worth, because he speaks Texan. And I'm here to tell y'all, it is not all just y'alls and all y'alls. That's not what speaking Texan, that's not what he means when he says speaking Texan. What he means is it's a little bit of sweet tea, okay, as opposed to unsweet tea. It's a little bit of charm. It's a little bit of generosity. It's a little more of a genteel nudge than it is a push. That's how they operate in Texas. And so he speaks Texan. So for him, in other words, he knows his customer, right? He knows his people, and he knows how to communicate with them in a way that they'll understand and won't be put off by. So speaking the language of my challengers was something that the training really helped me to just kind of focus in on. I'm not a generic person. None of us are generic. We're all very particular. And owning that and claiming that, I think, is what makes us great coaches. Owning it, claiming it, claiming that authority over your story, over your strengths, over your weaknesses, over all the bumps and bruises in your journey, over the battle wounds, all of it. Like, claim it. It's part of the story that other people are going to connect with when they decide that they want to know more about this and they reach out to you. That they're not just looking for a generic infomercial answer. They're looking for who you are. So I also learned that my customers are just like me. They're skeptical of home direct. They are more attracted to authenticity than they are to any kind of bragging. My customers are going to be more likely to connect with me because I'm being really deep about something. That's just because I know my people, and that's what they connect with. They want to hear the story, and they're fascinated by the story. So when I talk about, I was really inspired by one of Nilda's posts, I don't know, maybe a month ago, Nilda, the one that you posted about realizing when you were doing a project for one of your kids, helping your child with one of their projects for school, that the family photos that you were behind so many in the, that it was like you were hiding behind them, or they were selfies of just the face or whatever. And when you posted that, I was like, oh man, that is so true. I didn't even think about it. And then I posted something similar to that, I think that day or the next day. Well, one of my current challengers, when I asked her what their goals were for this challenge, she said, I don't want to hide behind my kids in pictures anymore. And I thought, okay, now I don't know if she saw my post about that, but it's very possible that post was what brought her to me, because of the authenticity in that post. The real life, like, self-awareness was just so appetizing to that person at that time, that all she wanted to do was know about whatever it is that I was doing. So, okay, almost done. So focusing on your story and who you are and how that intersects with Beachbody is, I think I got to that sooner because the training freed me from the need to be some cookie cutter Beachbody coach. It just absolutely freed me to be myself, imperfect and in progress as everybody else. And I really think that the people that contacted me could feel that when I communicated with them. Like, yes, I place myself as an expert, and in many ways I have become just by experience, but I think that they could tell that, I'm not trying to sell them something. I'm just trying to share something with them. So then the last thing, besides awareness, intention, all these things that we've talked about, is the consistency factor. And Gabby's always talking to us about the 4 vital behaviors. And obviously PD and going back to my list of 100 people and connecting. So I always go back to my list of 100 people, and I just try to connect with those people extemporaneously, and just about something that's totally unrelated to Beachbody. I know you've heard that before, but again, the training told me that it was okay. It's okay to reach out to people about things other than Beachbody, like you're planting seeds when you care about what's going on in somebody else's life, happy, sad, or otherwise. One of the training posts helps me to remember to always put every post through the so what question. So what? Is there a so what? Am I posting this just because I'm supposed to post something, or is there something really of value to the people on the other side? Just so you all know, this is my plan for social media posts per week. I do 2 before and after type transformation photo posts a week. I try not to do more than that because I think it's too, at least for me, it's too much. So I do 2. I limit it to 2, but I post meal posts all day. I post them every day because those are the kinds of things that my challengers in particular are really interested in. They're really interested to see, how am I solving this puzzle? And so I post my pictures of my meals. I try to post a couple of inspirational quotes like twice a week, which you do some amazing quotes. I want to know what apps you guys use or what you do to make those, because I love those. They inspire me to keep going. And then I do simple things like whenever Facebook offers that I can share my memories, I do those as much as possible, because I figure it's only drawing people to my page more, right? What's the harm in that? And they are happy things that I would normally share anyway. So it's like I share those things. And then I try to post things, again, totally unrelated to Beachbody that are just sort of polls, ask a question, ask people their opinion about something. And it's amazing how much response you can get. It may have nothing to do with Beachbody, but it keeps people interested in you and what you're doing. And it gives you information about them and what they're doing. And it's just about connecting. Because if we're not connecting, what are we doing? So I obviously still have growing edges. If I'm going to share growing edges, it would be that I still haven't figured out how to do a fitness post. I'm so inspired by all of you that have done your videos of doing workouts and even pictures of yourself, like whole body pictures of yourself. I'm so impressed by this. Like, I haven't gotten there yet, and I'm really impressed and inspired by that. So that's a growing edge. And then offering the coach opportunity is still a growing edge for me. But I'm getting there, like I said at the very beginning, there is no downside. So I don't really know why I would have a hard time offering it. There is no downside. So that's basically it. I mean, Gabby titled this How to Become a Successful New Beachbody Coach. And I think, I'm here talking about it, but really the answer is to do Gabby's trainings. Use the resource that she has put out there for us and engage it and really think about how you can make adjustments to what it is that you're doing so that it's not this generic message. It's you. And, when my husband and I were in seminary, we had a preaching professor who talked about preaching this way. He said, when you get up to preach, he said, it's not what does anybody have to say about any text in the Bible on any day of the week. He would say, no. When you go to preach, it's what do you have to say, with the help of the Holy Spirit, of course, but what needs to come from your voice, not just to any people, but these particular people on this particular day, and that really just it was just mind-blowing to me at the time, because it was like, okay, so I'm not supposed to just say what's supposed to be said or what everybody else has told me is supposed to be said about this particular scripture or this particular issue in the church. It's what has God put on your heart to say, not just to anybody, but to these particular people, not just any day, but on this particular day. And if you approach it like that, there's freedom in it. There's grace in it, that you are there for a purpose, and that purpose really, it's not about you or them. It's about, it's really just about living into your purpose in that moment and being willing to risk being your full self in that moment, and trust that, in the case of preaching, that the Spirit is going to carry you through it. And if your heart is in the right place and you have integrity, and I know all of you do, that's what's going to happen. And even when you get the no's, even when you get the objections, just like Gabby always says, it's no for now. It's an objection for now. And it's not about you. It's everybody's got to come to it at their own pace. And it's your job as a coach, my job as a coach, to just be ourselves. And to make the offer, and to help people with what we can share, and then release it. So that's it. That's all I got. That's it.
Well, that was super awesome, Amy. Thank you so much for sharing all that great stuff. So I'm going to unmute us all. If you have any questions about it, now if I can actually unmute you guys. Maybe. Yes, I did it. Okay.
And I do recommend that I reread this book every couple of months, but I don't know if you guys have ever heard of The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Really, really, really good stuff, especially if you're struggling with the no's, and people who maybe aren't so nice, that kind of thing.
All right, so I'm unmuting you guys again. All right, go ahead.
There was something I wanted to talk about. Oh, Amy, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know. I think you mentioned it, talking to people about the meal plan and everything. Yesterday, I spent literally an hour and maybe 20 minutes with a neighbor of mine that I've been trying to get to, achieve her health and fitness journey since June. I had sent her a message and she says, I'm ready. So I said, okay, cool. I'm going to go inside. I'm going to walk the dogs and I'm going to clean the dogs and I'm going to go meet you in your house. I went to her house, literally. You mentioned that you had purchased Insanity before you even contacted Claudia.
Oh, yeah. Years ago. Mm-hmm.
So she did that knowing that I was in contact with her since June. She went and ordered the 21-day essential package that gives her the containers, gives her the DVD, 3 samples of Shakeology, and the cup. However, she was stuck. She was like, I don't know what to do with this. So to make a long story short, I was there with her, I'm going through the containers and everything. The meal, I didn't want her to open the DVD. The book is in there, how to explain the meal plan. No, I had her return all that so that she can start from the beginning. But it's about that trust, and the ability at that moment to be able to get my sincere point across to her and asking those right questions. Regina, what is it that you want to see when you look in that mirror? So I literally walked her to her mirror. I said, come, she's a sweet woman. I said, come, what do you want to see? And when she explained that to me, I said, well, I can help you do that. So to make a long story short, I sent her the link and we'll see. I don't know, but I just needed to share that because it is about that connection, that trust. And for me, I love it. And Gabby knows is that my thing is face to face. People got to see that passion. They really don't see, I don't know if they see it on a post or whatever. Maybe that's why it's good to go live, because they do get to see that passion in your face and, whichever way you move your hands or whatever. But to me, that works. And even if they say no, they still see that face. So I just wanted to share that, that I made her change, exchange that and get her refund and start from the beginning.
I love that though, because you were clearly called to that moment. Like you were called to that encounter with her. And she was called to that encounter with you. And something really special happened there, right?
Oh, no, it was phenomenal.
The magic happens in that space between them and me, them and you. It's in that space between us, right? That's
because to me, even if she doesn't agree to buy the challenge package, I still build a relationship with her. It's the important thing. Because she's going to see me in the neighborhood. She has to walk her dog. I have to walk my dog. So I'm always going to say, well, how you doing today? Things like that. So it's building that relationship, whether they say no. I'm not going to I'm not going to get offended by that. Maybe in the beginning, I would have been like, well, be heavy, whatever. But it's not about that anymore. So it was a good visit, definitely. So I just wanted to share that.
That's great. It's awesome.
All right. If you have any other questions, unmute yourselves, guys. Go for it. Nelda, you look like you wanted to say something. Yay.
Sorry, I didn't realize I wasn't unmuted. I thought everybody. No, what I wanted to let Aida know is that what you did was you showed her the value. You showed her the value of having you as a coach. And just from what you said, I know she's going to call you back. because she had the other end. She had the box right in front of her. She had all the stuff, and she realized, okay, now I don't know what to do with this. I have no direction. So she is going to call you. Trust me. She's going to call you because now she knows the value of having a coach.
Yeah. It was good. It was good. Thank you, Hilda.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? More questions or comments or really awesome stories? Yes.
I have a question. Hold on.
Gladys, I don't see you.
I'm here. I'm almost there. There we go. Hey, Amy. I have a question. What is it that you do to make your pictures look so good? Like, did you get a special lighting? Did you position them in the same exact spot every time? What do you do? Because your pictures, I swear, are pulled from a cookbook.
Yeah, Gladys is talking about my food pictures. So yes, Gladys, you pretty much answered your own question. So I put my food, I stage it. So here's the thing, if you're gonna post food pics, there's a couple things that are really necessary. One is natural light. So you don't want to be doing this in the, workroom, break room with the, what do you call them? The artificial lighting.
Fluorescent.
There you go, fluorescent, thank you. You want natural light coming in from outside, number one. Number two, watch shadows, okay? Number three, make sure that it looks appetizing. So the little details, like today I just posted my dinner today, what I made whole wheat spaghetti and a meat sauce with ground turkey, and fresh steamed broccoli with Parmesan. Well, in order to have my wine, I couldn't have my spaghetti, the whole wheat spaghetti. I fed the rest of the family the spaghetti, but I didn't have the spaghetti. So mine was the meat sauce on the bottom of the plate with the broccoli piled on top of it and Parmesan cheese melted on the top. And then I photographed it from above. Like if you look at some of the foodie people out there with the foodie people on Instagram, you can get just look at the way that they photograph their food. It's mostly from directly above, or it's just really close in. You don't want to see a bunch of table. You don't want to see messy countertops. You don't want to see stained cutting boards. You don't want to see utensils ever. You don't ever want utensils. So go through your cookbooks and see, well, how did they photograph their food? So if you're going to do something about nutrition, try to photograph it in a way that they do it in cookbooks. So that's the first thing is because you can't fix a bad photograph. Like you have to just take it from the right angle with the right lighting and stage it. So you don't want stuff splattered around the edges. Think of yourself as a photographer in a food studio and photograph it the way you would want it to look in an advertisement. And then the second thing is I just do mine on Instagram and I just go through the filters until I find one that makes it look really appetizing. But I don't want it to not look real, right? Because I don't want it to look like fake food. But I don't want my white plate to look yellow. It's not really yummy looking. I don't want my food to look blue. Food isn't blue unless it's blueberries, right? There's certain colors that food just shouldn't be. So think about some of those kind of artistic details, and I think your food posts, could definitely filter your food, definitely zoom in, definitely make it look pretty. But you answered your own question with natural light and just stage it and have something to say about it, because I'm interested in everybody's food, but there's got to be something interesting about it. Like what problem got solved with this meal? Like today I wanted my wine, so that solved my problem. I could save my carb for my wine. If I didn't have this other thing, and it ended up being a pretty appetizing post. I hope that answers your question, Gladys.
It doesn't. It sounds actually really good. I'm gonna go check you out right now. Just real quick, my suggestion you said you wanted app suggestions on
Yes.
I use Word Swag.
Okay.
Yeah, and that one you could also create your watermark. Okay, ready, set, go. Yeah, so that one you could also create it. And I think I want to say it's free on iTunes. And if not, the upgrade's like $2.99 or something like that. But
Okay.
it's one of my favorite ones.
Thank you. Wrote it down.
Great, sharing info here. Love it. All right. Anyone else? If not, I'm not pulling teeth. Cool. Well, Amy, thank you so much for all of your insight and everything. And of course, sharing info. Yay, thumbs up. Yay, ready to thumbs up. Yay.
Yeah, so
All
go
right.
do the trainings, everybody.
Yes, please do trainings. Thanks for all your great tips. All right, guys, so I'm going to stop recording. Y'all have a great night, and I'll see ya.
Thank you, Anna.
You got
Thank
it.
you, Anna.
No
Good night.
problem,
Good
guys.
night. Thank you.
Thank you.